Welcome back. Good morning. You're good looking. A couple of days ago, I said something about a circular connection between spending and income. Allow me to make your Saturday a little bit less boring by elaborating on the basics for our current economic disaster. I promise this will be better than cable TV. Now, rather than beating around the bush, no pun intended, let me come right to the point. And forgive me if I'm going to be irreverent. There are three fundamentals to macroeconomy: the donut, Defcon 5, and Davinci's cloth, or as I call it, the 3 Ds. Let's start with the donut, which best represents the macroeconomic interrelationship between employers and employees. No matter how you want to spin it, if you go all the way to the basics, goods are ultimately being bought by people. Yes, I know, Toyota buys some stuff from Bosch or some other supplier. But where does the car end up if the economy is working in the hands of the car buyer? Ultimately, and again abstracted to the basics, the monetary flow is between the employers and the employees. Think about it. The money you earn and receive, I don't care from corporations or from people, eventually goes back to the corporations and not necessarily the one you work for. But that doesn't matter. Why am I telling you this? For two reasons. First, because I want to make clear even for the aliens in Area 51 that both the employer and the employee are equally important for the economy. Next, if one is taken out of the equation, whether this is the employer or the employee, the entire economy falters. Do I make myself clear? And I'm not talking about a single employee or a single employer. I am talking about groups. Sure, there are other factors that may influence the equation. Credit for one, at least what the purchase of investment goods are concerned. For example, cars or houses that last for years. In other words, if a significant number of people are out of the job, the Defcon 5 alarm should sound and action is to be taken. The sooner, the better. The same applies for corporations. If major corporations are allowed to fail, we better sound alarm. If we do not, we all will wear Davinci's cloth. Nothing. Unless, of course, we find somebody willing to barter HTML code for food. While this may be familiar to you, it is clear that Area 51, and by now I think you know my code word for Washington, lacks the intellectual flexibility, as Nobel Prize winner Paul Krugman puts it, to deal with it. They think it is funny if you are out of business. And now let's go and beat a little around the bush. He finally did it. After first agreeing with Democrats that the car makers should be given a bridge loan, he went on a 2-week legacy project trip to Iraq. Next, he started production of his Barney legacy project. Well, take that with a grain of salt. Oops, wrong pick. On Thursday, he said he hadn't made up his mind. Finally, on Friday, the legacy project took over and he agreed to do something for the car makers. Appears to me Karl Rove told them he would look like Dr. Kevorkian if he doesn't. but not without demanding that by March 31, 2009, the car makers prove that they will be viable, whatever the definition. There is a slight problem though. We are still in a recession, credits are hardly available, and for all we know that will be worse in the first half of 2009. By the way, according to press reports, Chevy's Volt is on schedule. Indeed, in Germany, GM's Opel division came out with a new car, the Insignia, and is running overtime to satisfy the demand. Now let's look for a moment at Goldfinger, the Illinois governor. He actually could not shut up as his attorney told him to, but had to hold the press conference. Blagojevich assured the audience that he would be vindicated. In the words of the FBI, that statement was insufficiently reliable. Translated, if you buy that, you get one free. As we mentioned earlier, Blago had hired an attorney, Ed Glenson, in Chicago, also known as Devil's Advocate, which begs the question, who is the devil? There is an aura around Ed Glenson. He suffers from dystonia, a neuromuscular disorder that requires him to use a scooter. His opponents claim that his limp gets worse every time he is before a jury, but then that may be just jealousy. Anyway, Glenson claims the warrant for the telephone bug was obtained illegally. I wouldn't be too sure about that. What is so puzzling is that neither Blago nor his attorney ever denied that the governor actually solicited money, or as the statute puts it, value. Under 18 U.S.C. 201, that is sufficient to establish a crime. Oh well. I take it you're familiar with Davinci's work, in specific his Mona Lisa, the painting that hangs in the Louvre in Paris. Have you ever wondered why she has this devilish or knowing female smile on her face? I solved that age-old problem. When Da Vinci painted her, he had a sketch of the Da Vinci men hanging on his wall, hanging pipi and all. Holy mackerel, I'm so good sometimes I scare myself. Have a nice weekend.